Hey guys, my name is Danon and welcome to Ahnestly. Today we're doing the 1-year review of the Google Home Mini. 8 reasons why I love it and 2 reasons why it annoys me just a little bit. I picked up my Google Home Mini about a year ago, and since then I've picked up 2 more, so that gives you the general sense of how this review is going to go. Now this is meant to be a standalone review of just the Google Home Mini, but I do own a bunch of iOS devices, which means that I'm going to draw comparisons here and there. I can't help it, and I'm only going to do that when I think it's really applicable. I can't draw any comparisons with Alexa simply because I don't own any Alexa devices. I don't want a third ecosystem, especially when Alexa and Google Home kind of do the similar things. But Google Home, for me, it does more it fits my needs better because it's already well integrated with my calendar, with Google Maps, with email and things like that. Alexa just doesn't do that. It helps me buy things, but man, I don't need to be spending more money. So with that, let's get started. The first reason why I love this thing so much is because of the price. I picked this thing up for $20 brand new in box from Craigslist, and it's so easy, guys, so easy to find this thing for about 20 to 25 bucks. It retails for 50, and at that point I'm a little bit more hesitant to recommend it, but if you can find it for 20, $25, even $30, I would say definitely go and pick one up. The value that it comes with at $20, $30, it's amazing. The second reason why I love it so much is because it's accurate. And when I say accurate, I mean about a 60 to 80% accuracy rate. Now you might be like, that's a big range. Well, 60% when my back is turned to it, when I'm not in line of sight of it, and it rises to 80 as soon as I'm able to see it. And I don't need to be close either. As long as my voice is traveling in its general direction, the accuracy rate rises significantly. And the reason why this is so important for me is because when I got this, I was a little bit skeptical of the whole smart home movement. The last thing I wanted was to be shouting at my, hub to desperately try to turn something on only to get, frustrated and have it turned on manually. This thing is so accurate that I'm able to place devices in places that I normally wouldn't because it would be so inconvenient to get to otherwise. So for example, my headphone amp back there, it may not look like it, but it's actually pretty far and pretty out of the way. I'd have to reach around my monitor and then reach up and turn the thing on. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, first world problems. I get it. But it becomes a real issue when I need to turn it off because that thing gets really hot. So instead of reaching over it and potentially touching, hundreds of degrees of heat that the bulb produces, I'm able to just turn it off with the sound of my voice. The same goes with my living room lights. I place them in really inconvenient behind my couch. I have to go up the stairs and then, anyways, I can place it in really inconvenient places because I trust that this thing is able to turn it on almost all the time. It's awesome. The third reason why I love this thing so much is because I can speak to it like a human being. Hey, how you doing? And what I mean by you can speak to it like a human being is that you can basically trigger it, I won't say the words for the sake of your devices, and then immediately follow it with a command. You don't have to wait for it to acknowledge that it heard you trigger it. Hey, turn on the living room lights. Sure. So for example, with Siri, when you trigger it, sometimes it'll say that or it'll do that ding sound, and that can be an additional 2 to 5 seconds of delay. With this, you don't have to. You can immediately give the command as soon as you say the trigger words, and that 3 to 5 seconds means the world to me because when I enter my house, it is pitch black, and darkness makes me nervous. Shut up, don't judge me, okay? So it feels more natural, and the faster I can turn things on, the better. The fourth reason why I love this thing so much is because you can set what you call custom routines. And what that allows you to do is you can set a custom phrase, whatever you want. You don't have to pick from their, pre-composed words. You can select whatever, you can create your own phrase. And then from there, you can set a whole bunch of actions that trigger with that phrase. So for example, you can say, good morning. And you can have it turn on your lights, read you the weather for the morning, read you your commute time to work, and then read you some news. The news feature is really useless. But you can have all those commands happen, or you can have all those actions trigger based on one custom command. I have this room called the Boom Boom Room, right? It's from the movie Life. When I come in, I say, turn the Boom Boom Room on, and everything turns on. My headphones, the lights, everything turns on. And I'm hoping that one day I'm able to come in and say, hey, it's time to make some magic, baby. And all of my YouTube equipment will turn on. One day, we'll get there. The fifth thing that I really like about this is a feature called voice match, and that allows you to do voice recognition, or allows this thing to do voice recognition. You can record your voice, and if it hears you, it'll look up your account and apply all the actions to your account as opposed to someone else's. And that really ups the value on this thing, because that means that I can have one of these for a multiple person household, and yeah, that's that. You only need one. So if I were to ask what's my commute, it'll hear my voice and give me my commute to my work, versus my wife, it'll give her commute to her work. Same with calendars and phone books. If I need to call dad, we both have it listed as dad, so it'll call my dad as opposed to her dad. Really neat feature, really ups the value on this thing. The sixth feature that I really value on this thing is called broadcast. And what that allows you to do is when you give the command, broadcast, it gives you a window in which you can record something, a message, and it'll broadcast it to all the other Google Home Minis that it's paired to, that your network is paired to. And the reason why this is so valuable to me is because we live in a multi-level house, but we also have kids. And because of that, we don't want to be waking up the kids or bothering them by screaming across the house. So instead, we can just send a quick message using this, and it's awesome because if I am on my computer and somebody says, hey, let's do dinner, I can just say, hey, what do I call her? Honey? Yeah. Do you have time X day to grab dinner with this family? And she's able to say yes. And we can do that quickly, just really fast. It basically allows us to be lazy. It is what this thing was designed to do. Make us lazy as hell. It's awesome. Now let me rant for a second here, because broadcast is a feature that I never see advertised, but the feature I do see advertised is the worst feature ever. It's called the recipe feature, and you can ask it to find you a recipe. But here's the thing, I don't know about you, but I don't cook using auditory cues. I need to see something, and because I will forget. And if I try to cook by remembering things that someone told me, someone's gonna die, man. I mean, someone's gonna end up in the hospital. On top of that, again, I don't know how you guys cook, but for me, when I cook, I look up a recipe, find the ingredients, go and get those ingredients specifically for this recipe. I don't just have stuff laying around. And so if I were to ask it for a random recipe, it's gonna start naming all these ingredients that I'm just like, I don't have that. I can't make that. It's such a weird feature that they advertise and push really strongly in all the commercials. Yet broadcast, man, that's the dream, man. That allows me to stay in my chair and never get up. Oh, it's like the movie, the one with, yeah, I don't remember anymore. The seventh thing I really like about this thing is the fact that it is future-proof. Because basically it is linked with the app, and the app, the Google Assistant app, and the Google Assistant will continually get updates, and that means those updates apply to this device. Now, yeah, Google might release another device that has a better microphone, better speakers, and so forth, but when it comes to the commands, when it comes to new commands, better syntax, better understanding, better AI, and so forth, all of that will be applied to this. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't own too many $20, $30 products that guarantees that kind of future-proofing. Usually it's a product that's really cheap and then it's meant to break and then you buy a new one. Not so with this. The eighth reason why I like this thing so much is because of all the little things that it can do. And what I mean by that is this, is let's say that you are not into this whole smart home thing. I totally get that, totally understand that. Well, this thing, and again, this is only if you pick it up for 20, 25 bucks. It does a lot of little things that you will find super convenient that really will impact your life for, I hope, the better. So for example, once you have experienced forgetting your phone that you would typically use to do voice commands in the living room somewhere, and you're cooking and you have raw chicken juice on your hands and you need to set a timer, and you're like, oh crap, how am I gonna do this without washing my hand or having to stab things with your pinky? These are your elbows. Your elbows, once you've experienced that, you will never be the same ever again. You'll be a new man, you'll be a new woman. Or just the fact that you can set calendar items or reminders or alarms. It really is handy. It really is useful. And again, if it costs you $50 to do that, I don't know if it's worth it. But if you can pick it up for 20, 25 bucks, totally worth it. Now, there are two things that irk me a little bit about the Google Home Mini. They're both minor, but annoyances nonetheless. The first minor annoyance could be actually a really major one, but I've only experienced it with one smart home device, and that's with the Philips Hue bulbs. basically, without getting too much into it, I plan on reviewing those bulbs because I do have some strong feelings about them. If you try to set a custom scenery and you try to trigger that, you have to follow a very specific syntax. Now, I don't know if that's on Philips or if that's on Google, but somebody needs to fix this thing because the syntax there is really awkward and you have to follow it to the T or else you can't turn on custom scenes. I've only noticed this weird syntax thing again with Philips, so I'm gonna consider it to be minor for now. The second annoyance that I have with this thing is that it has the facade of security. And what I mean by that is that this thing has a mute switch, where if you trigger that, basically this thing can no longer hear you. And I call it the facade of security because it's a really big concern. These things are listening. I think Alexa sent a whole conversation to another family and things like that. So the fact that this has a mute switch is pretty neat. But you really think, is that really practical? Am I really going to go out of my way and mute this thing? How often am I gonna go, wait, don't talk yet. We're talking about sensitive information. Let me go ahead and turn the mute switch on. No, that's not gonna happen. And number two, or following up with that is, I usually set these things up higher than is comfortable because I want it to be able to hear my voice no matter where I'm speaking from. And so it's really inconvenient to reach up and then hit the mute button because I have to pull it off the shelf and things like that. It's what I call the facade of security. Now, there is no voice command to mute it either, so you can't do that. You have to do it physically. I wish that Google would allow us to maybe, if we were going to use it, to maybe use a voice command to do so, and then use the app to turn it back on, because obviously you can't turn it back on using the voice command because it's muted. So there you have it, guys. 1 year later, 8 reasons why I love it, 2 reasons why it annoys me a little bit. I still think it's a fantastic value. I really recommend you guys pick it up. If you guys like this video, if you found it helpful, gingerly touch that like button. Don't smash it. What did it ever do to you? But also subscribe, and then when I have 1 million subscribers, you can be like, oh, I was subscribed to him back when he had no subscribers and he was a scrub. I'd really appreciate that a lot. If you disliked it, you know what to do as well. Leave a comment below, guys, and until next time, stay honest. Wally, that's the one.